Dude,
Totally
fired
set
up. Dude,
Yeah?
when I called you, there's this new coffee shop I go to, and Amy turned me on to it. And I don't know what drugs are like, but this has to be it. I have so many ideas. You know what's a trip is Jim, when we did the West Coast, he came and stayed with me.
Uh-huh.
And it was weird having Jim Brewer in Oceanside, California.
Why is that?
So imagine my neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. It's the best.
It's the best.
So imagine this. So Jim, he comes to California and he's, I always say Jim looks like a cop. It was so just obvious that, he's got his jeans on, he's got the white tennis shoes, it's the full Brewer,
Yeah,
and then he stands out. He looks like a cop. He looks like undercover police
the way you
officer.
described Oceanside and like your stand-up and stuff, they're wearing a flannel, beard, truck, ladder.
Everyone in my home of Oceanside, we all look like we grew up together, surfing, skateboarding, and now we're adults. And Jim is not that. And the look on people's faces when he was riding around on my beach cruiser, because that's the thing about Brewer. He would get up in the morning and he's like, hey man, I'm like, dude, whatever you need to do. He's like, oh, okay, cool, man. He goes, you do your thing, I'll do mine. So there you go. But that's where I'm at, Mike.
Cool, man.
You good?
About a half an hour ago, would have told you I was all right, but now I'm great after using Preparation H with lidocaine.
Wow. I haven't had to use something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Nightmare.
Anyway, dude, we're here. How are you doing?
When you and Margot told me that David Cross was coming on the show, because I know the whole thing, and I was like, okay.
From the minute we scheduled it until like minutes before it record, like we were like, how is this gonna go? And the way that it went was totally not the way that I expected. But also, I guess, what are they gonna do? You're gonna fight on online? What are you gonna do?
Jim and him had a riff, and Brewer is one of those guys that I've never seen Jim get mad. Like, he gets annoyed, obviously, all the time. He's been annoyed at me. Like anyone that watches the show or sees us on Instagram, he's annoyed with me, but he never gets like bummed or like pissed, except when certain things happen, and he'll address it. Before we jump into that though, I know you and I talked about this, Mike. How much were you surprised that David Cross and Jim have in common?
When we were talking about the Africa trip in the beginning, I had seen, David pop up on the bottom of the screen. So I knew he was backstage, and, Jim's talking about it. And then the minute we bring him in and they go into the conversation about Africa, I'm like, whoa, I'm like, all right, this is, that's when I knew. I'm like, all right, it's not going how I thought it was possibly going to go. And I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. And it went well. It was like, oh, all right, pleasantly surprised. It was awesome.
Like, when I was watching them, and for everyone that dives into this episode with David and Jim, the thing that Mike and I are talking about is, and maybe it's the elephant in the room right now. David Cross, he said something on stage and it got back to Jim. Mike, can you just jump into that?
It's so great that we can do this, that we can all do this and gather here, and because we got vaccinated and because we wore masks and we all acted like responsible adults, we can do this. We can gather and do this and not die. It's a good feeling, because all over America, they're gathering and doing this, going to a show like this, not like this, probably more of a Jason Aldean, Travis Tritt, Jim Brewer vibe to it, but they're gathering in a space like this, unvaccinated, unmasked, and some of those people will die. They will die of COVID. I take no more than a little bit of joy in that, that they will die of COVID.
For everyone that's watching this right now, when David, said that, it got back to Jim right away. And it was, as Jim's friend and someone, you know, that knows this dude, you know, not as the comedian, you know, he was bummed, and he was like, why would you say that? And it wasn't even upset. And you know, when it's like a dad, you know, when your dad is so pissed he doesn't even yell,
Mhm.
and they're just like
That's the worst.
disappointed. Yeah, it was the worst. And he never even really brought it up. And he was really like, you know what, man, I've, you know, I've known David, I've spoken to David, and, you know, we've known each other, and like, why, you know, why would that go down? And what was going through, and I wrote it down, Mike, because I don't know about you, but like when I watched the episode, I was like, okay, when is it going to happen? Okay, when is it going to happen? And it happened in 53 minutes and 38 seconds. And the whole episode's like an hour and 7 minutes. And they really kind of, you know, got to know each other. And, you know, at one point I thought, wow, man, maybe Jim's not even going to bring it up. Like, okay, you know, like just be the guy that's like, hey, you know what? It's cool. We don't need to make it public. But then when David addressed it and said, hey, man, you know what? Not cool. I don't know why I said that, and addressed it. I was like, I always liked David, and I love Jim. I don't know David like I know Brewer, but I really felt that he addressed it in such a humane way. And then I got to say, Brewer could have been like, well, then this is and he didn't do it. He just said, thanks for saying that.
Yeah, he didn't bring up, you know, what he said on what we just played on the clip, but he did bring up the old thing, and Jim's just kind of like, whatever. You know, I mean, you know, he accepted it, not whatever. But the funny thing is that you brought up that part is when it actually went down and the camera froze on Jim's end. So David's talking about, you know, apologizing, and that's what he's looking at is Jim frozen. Dude, I'm on my end freaking out.
Mike, you handled it so pro, because I could hear you stressing, you know, like when you're like, Jim's like, Mike, are you there? And you're like, yes, I am. And then David's like, well, I think that we can hear you, Jim. And you're like, you know what? We have it on backup. Don't worry about it. You were being so pro. And it was the moment that it was going down. And then I felt bad for Cross because he's getting no reaction out of Jim while he's apologizing. Except this.
No. And then if you know, David or Jim, if you follow either of them, and you know, you see, and after watching this episode, they have more things in common than things that they disagree on.
Totally.
That's what the Breuniverse is all about, is about these normal, real conversations. Put that other bullshit aside. Let's talk like real people. He's not trying to bring you on the show so they can have an argument. It's to just talk.
The best thing, I got to say at the end about this particular version, and I'll leave it with this, was it was great to see two different comedians that we thought had so many differences, but they really are the same dude. And I would love to see more of that. My thing is this. I know it's crazy. I haven't even said anything to Brewer. I'd love to see those two guys do more stuff together. I thought it was just a good hang.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally see them doing some kind of travel thing together. That would be hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I'm down.
Anything else you want to say, Joe?
Hoping that this is going to come out in time. I'll be out on the road October 19th, beginning in Boston. The 20th, I'm going to be Connecticut or Baltimore, I think it is. And then I roll to Pittsburgh. Then I roll down to Cleveland. And I go to Columbus. These are all headlining dates. And I'd love for you to come. And you can get tickets at joesib.com. Go there now. All the dates are there. And I really hope you guys will come out and I can meet some of the Breuniverse people.
Yeah. And you know what stokes me is everybody out there, if you haven't, watch episode 156 with David Cross. If you want, sign up for Patreon. You can see stuff that got cut out. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
See you guys out on the road.
See you on the road.
Later, Mike.
Later, dude.
Damn it. Okay. Hey, can you talk? Yep. Is that good like that? Do you like the way I'm looking? Oh my God. So much. Are we recording? Dude, I saw a side shot of you. I've never seen the side shot on there. Oh, wow. What's lidocaine? This show just took a turn.
Cream in your butthole's the way to go.
Wow. Okay. Hey, and if anyone needs to know what type of preparation H Mike is using, please leave that in the comments. And also, let us know what you use to get rid of itch or pain.
It's a pain in my ass, Joe. Literally.
Dude, why do I know right now the only thing that Brewer's going to see is that? And he's just going to be like, what are you guys doing?